Welcome to the Mountain Man Chronicles. Be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Live, learn, and explore. At the end of our last episode, we were calling it a day waiting for two of our other crew members to arrive. They've arrived, so we're starting with Wicks Tunnel today, where we're going to stop in the middle and see some curious adventures. You'll see that Taylor and Ian have joined us. This is our crew all together. In today's adventure, we're going to go through the Wicks Tunnel once again at the beginning. We're also going to venture to several ghost towns, some mining camps, additionally some cemeteries, and then follow up with the best part of the trip, some remote kilns and Ringing Rocks, which is one of Montana's mysterious places. Really cool place to visit. Starting off here as we're venturing through the tunnel.
Gotta do like the railroad coaster pose. Ah!
This next section is really what overlanding as a family to me is all about. This is Tim and his family just hauling butt through the tunnel just to listen and enjoy the laughter. This made my whole trip.
That was a good scene up there,
I hope you enjoyed your trip again through Wicks Tunnel. If you want more detail about Wicks Tunnel, please see our video in the link above. The first rig you saw come through there was Tim and Melissa and their family as they ventured through. They were the family that you just saw go through at a very fast pace with that intoxicating laughter. I have to say, the laughter in that was just infectious to me, so I had to share it in the video. Next up coming through this at a little bit slower pace is me in my white Jeep Gladiator. Today we're going to go venturing out without our trailers, so today mostly will be with me with my white Jeep Gladiator. All of us have trailers with the exception of Taylor, which has a pop-up off-road camper on the back of his, which is quite capable, did not slow him down. As I mentioned, we are going to be going off-road today without the trailers. We're going to go be exploring a ghost town, a couple different mining camps, areas like that, which I'll be sharing in the video. I hope you do enjoy this portion today. Later in the video, we are going to be hooking up our campers and going to explore even further. We're going to go off and see some kilns, go to explore different areas for the second half of the video. And then in conclusion, our next video, which I'll be producing later for next week, will be more focused on just doing other ghost towns, going to see some oddities within the trip, and Rayleigh and I branching out, going to see a couple museums. Finally, coming through the tunnel right now, you'll be seeing Ian in his Jeep Gladiator, the blue Jeep Gladiator, which is very capable, very outstanding rig. So that's everybody that's on our trip. What you didn't see in this video was Kyle and Stephanie. They're off to the right. They were the first ones through. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Look forward to it. This is us as a crew preparing to go. Our first stop was the remnants of a truss bridge. Historic bridges are a prominent, significant part of Montana's landscape. Truss bridges not only delineate the sites of important river crossing, mountain passes, and just access points. They really delivered the hopes and dreams of Montanians and their communities. A good bridge could make or break a community in those days, could make or break a mind, especially for the state's residents. By early 20th century, bridges were so important to local and statewide improvement projects that they were growing in significance. The history of Montana Strait bridges are tied directly to the history of the state itself, and it changed over time. The Montana State Trust Bridges multiplied documents addressed steel bridges throughout the state. By 1880 to 1946, the last one was built. These bridges scatter the landscape and are very interesting to look at and stop and see. It's one of the many things that Tim had planned along the trip that was just a pleasant surprise. Through a lot of these bridges, there's many different types. There's the pony bridge, the deck bridge, the truss bridge, many different sections. This here is a truss bridge. It was about 300, 400 feet in the air. You can see how it was constructed. My vision was probably built in the 1860s to 1880s. Not a lot to tell us that. Did have an old, interesting site nearby, which we're going to do a flyby. The site itself we couldn't trespass, something I don't believe in. But a drone is not trespassing, so we did fly a drone over it to go check it out and see what that building looked like. As we explored the area, we found a lot of little sites, a lot of interesting history like this. You'll see Raylene's doing her best to get an image of it from afar. The drone's going to give us a little bit closer image. It's something that I found very interesting, and I hope this is all part of Overlanding, is exploring new places and finding out the different sites. One of the things I love about overlanding with a purpose like this is the ability to step back in time and often wonder what people lived like, how they lived, how they survived out here in the middle of nowhere. What I wondered about this rock house is, was it a house? Was it storage? Was it somewhere simply to put things while your cattle were here? Only the mind can tell us what that is. But looking at the foundation, looking at the structure, the architecture, if you will, has to be just amazed about the ingenuity, how to put things together, to make at least the walls survive the test of time. Interesting sight to see out here right under this railroad bridge, and it brings you back to a time and wonder what it was like. It soon became time to leave the bridge behind. We knew we had some pretty tough roading to go through for the next couple miles to get to the town of Elkhorn. Little we know the trail was going to get a lot rougher than we thought, but we decided to head out. Tim leading the way, I'm following Tim, Taylor following me, then Kyle, and Ian is bringing up the rear here. The trail started to get very narrow and very rocky as we were headed towards Elkhorn, and it made for some interesting passage. Hope you enjoy this part of the video. It's a little more off-roading, and then we'll arrive at the town of Elkhorn.
This is like some of my favorite wheeling. It's not crazy hard, but you gotta be driving.
I just don't like the really steep drop-offs when you lean towards it. I just ugh.
They have the same plants too, the fauna.
As we navigated through this, it came a determination more and more. We're wondering, okay, do we keep going forward? Are we going to find somewhere to turn around? Because the trail was getting narrower. At some points, Taylor was having some challenges with trees hanging over, worrying about hitting his camper, which I don't blame him at all for. Those of us who had four-wheel drive in our Gladiators, all of us, the rigs weren't having a problem making it through. It was more of, okay, are we going to be able to turn around? Is there going to be places through here that we can navigate? That's really where the question began and where the challenges began. Eventually, Tim had to make the decision to turn around.
We might actually want to turn around right there. So we've got a overhead tree hanging over here. There's no way Tyler's going to get through. So I'm going to get up here to the top and I'll find a place to turn around. But I'm thinking that spot right there, if we get everybody back past it, we can back up and I can just take the tail and we'll just work our way back down.
You're telling me to turn around.
All right, I'm at it. Tim, I'm going to turn around and back up the hill a little bit, you know, right where that turn was, and then I'll just wait and let everybody turn around. That's the only way I can think of doing this.
I would say that, let's get everybody forward and then get Tyler into that hole. Well, I guess it don't matter. We're going to have to go, technically, everybody's going to have to go past that a little and then back down into it, I think.
Actually, what I think is we can line two rigs in there at a time, and then, or get 3 rigs in there after I back up, and then I can drive down, I'll take front, but I don't know where in the hell I'm going, so at some point I got to pull over and let you lead.
We have the map up here too, so we can lead us back down.
Just stay on this main road straight down. We don't take any variations. Just go straight down and then to the left. So, but yep, I'll get myself a place to turn around up here.
Do you need me to get out?
I might need you to spot me here in a minute.
Hey Taylor, where Kyle and I are is a pretty wide area. I don't know if you feel more comfortable turning around back here, but we're gonna flip around and pull down.
Oh, okay, that's good.
I don't know if I can.
Okay, so are they going to turn around up there and come back right now? Is that what you guys are doing up there?
Yep, so up top they're turning around because there's an overhead hanging tree that you won't clear, so we're gonna head back down. And we have a big spot back here that you should be able to turn around in.
I don't know if I can turn around there.
You want me to get out?
Yeah, I can't. I need you to spot.
Okay, tell me where the spot you're at.
I'd like to go back up the hill, but I need to get closer to that side. Because this is a dip here. How am I dipping down here? Am I okay? All right, what are you doing? Come on.
You can go back a little bit if you like.
I'm going to.
All right, go ahead. You're gonna go up on 2 rocks.
Now what? Well, I got to be able to back up so they can come and do this.
They're not turning around yet.
I think they are, aren't they?
You gotta verify. She said no.
Are you guys coming up here to turn around, or are you turning around down there? I need to know so I know what I'm doing.
I'm turning around down here. I'm backing up right now to turn around.
Okay, then I'm going to start heading down towards you if that's okay.
Yeah, you guys should have plenty of time by the time I get down.
Okay, come on in. Thanks, Taylor.
She
I didn't know whether I should back up or what I should do. You're helpful, thank you.
She got them both, so we should go over.
She should.
Keep on coming back here, Taylor. Come on, straddle this log right here. Yep, keep coming. Yep, you're good. Keep coming.
Okay, so
Keep
what?
coming.
It would suck if we can't turn around. Why don't we wait?
Keep coming.
Yeah.
Because if not, we gotta back all the way up that.
Keep coming. Keep coming. Keep coming.
No, I can go in there and turn around.
Yep, keep coming.
Again, because of them.
Keep coming. You're good. Keep coming. Keep coming. Keep coming.
Should
Keep
you,
coming. Got plenty of space.
just
Keep
crank
coming.
it on our brakes?
Keep
Huh?
coming.
I'm listening.
All right, stop. Right there.
Tim, how are you doing? I'm gonna wait here just to make sure you can turn around, so I don't have to come all the way back up the hill.
So I'm turning around, but I'm kind of quite a ways up here, but I am working my way back down again.
All right, I'm gonna wait till I hear you or whatever, and then I'll start moving.
And we know that Tyler's gonna move out. We haven't moved him yet.
Roger.
You can see him, he's still parked.
They're backing him up, honey.
Oh, is that
They
right?
are, yeah. That big rock right here. So I'm gonna have to turn around this big rock and crank it pretty tight.
Well, someone's hit that tree. Or there.
Yeah. Nope, I think somebody hit it. Alright.
Okay, we got Taylor turned around. We're all good down here.
I'm just waiting for Tim to make sure he comes down the hill behind me. I don't want to leave him up here. Although Taylor may want to.
Well, I'm glad you guys don't want to leave me up here. I hope it's not too bad. I hope it's up to fix it.
So we got turned around and started moseying down the hill. As we were coming down was much easier than coming up. Didn't have as much of an angle, although we did have to navigate through some water and some other obstacles that are on the trail. All went pretty well for the first part of it. Then we caught up to Taylor and realized that there was going to be a bit of a challenge. It looked like something was hanging below his rig.
Is that a twig underneath, or is that his brake line?
I don't. Oh, hell. That's not a twig. That's not a twig.
Hey Taylor, stop for a minute.
That's not a twig.
I want to get out and look at something on your truck.
Don't let me go, please.
Going on overlanding and exploring, stuff happens, and I think a lot of it is you have to just deal with things that happen. The one thing I love about Taylor is the smile never leaves his face, and he continues to make you smile. I've been out with him on 2 or 3 trips, and I gotta say, every trip I go on, the man has a smile on his face. Is one of the happiest people I know. Definitely like going out with him. So after some quick work, finding out that it wasn't a busted brake line, but just a brake line that was hanging low, we took care of it, tied it up, and we were on our way. Elkhorn's one of the many different towns that dot the landscape of Montana. What I found unique about this ghost town is the buildings are still relatively good shape. People still live here and they still mine. The town is restoring a couple of these buildings that we're going to walk through. Some history on Elkhorn is the inhabitants here came from Europe, but not only were they just single miners like many of the other towns, this town itself had people from all over Europe and their family and their children. Unfortunately, in the 1880s, they had a cholera epidemic here, and it killed many of the children, which rest in the cemetery. They had about 2,500 inhabitants. They had a school, a hotel, a church, and stores. Of course, they had a saloon and brothels like many other mining towns. But again, the family, most of them were married and they were immigrants, and many of them still rest here. Over the years following the silver boom, Elkhorn's prosperity began to lessen and desire for silver decreased. After the diphtheria epidemic, Elkhorn basically started to dry up, and then finally the final nail was the railroad service that halted, and so Elkhorn stands as it is today. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of restoration going on here in Elkhorn. One of the areas that they did restaurate is this building here that they used to put water to their train. Eventually, they did have a big train turnaround that turned around the trains here, but that's unfortunately hasn't been.
What was it like inside?
This was cool to walk up to and go inside.
Structural. How they keep that water tower in there.
I know, there's no sign on it.
Oh, that's cool.
Weird, naive California.
4 years, 17 days. Poor baby. This cemetery was saddening because it had a great amount of children in it, but it was beautiful at the same time. Middle of the forest, big daisies placed throughout. It was an amazing place, very serene. I always look and reflect on these and the sacrifices people made in the search of a better life with our country. I think many still do. Something that we've forgotten how fortunate we are. It's a very sombering moment for Raylene and I as we walk through the cemetery. We did spend some time there. Makes you reflect. It did make a big reflection for that day. Also made it the trip, coming up that rugged pass and hiking, driving through it, and Taylor's challenge. This just kind of makes you understand the struggles that others went along their journey and made our journey worthwhile and made it the effort it was rewarding. Sky was getting darker as the day was fading on. We knew that we had a ways to go to make it out, so we lined up and we headed out. You'll see in front of me here is Taylor just kind of meandering on our way out. At the end of the day today, we knew we were going to go to a town nearby. We were going to sit at a tavern and have a drink or two, eat a meal, and just relax as a crew. I will say, this part of the trip was a little bit off-road, a lot of exploring, visiting ghost towns, but little did we know up ahead we had some beautiful scenes, some really interesting kilns to go see, another state park ghost town, and several others that'll be part of this video. It is turning out to be an epic adventure, one with new friends, enjoying the beauty of Montana, and a trip that's really made a lasting impression on me. Even sitting here doing the video, seeing it again, realizing what a just great time we had, what a bunch of exploration, and what just making new friends, exploring places. This was fun. And I hope you're enjoying episode 2. I don't know if it was by superior design or superior planning or whatever it was, but on this day, the next day, with trailers in tow, I'm not sure if we were all just quiet. We were tired from the epic trip the day before, but we were hauling through this desert pretty quickly with trailers in tow. Just experiencing the drive. What the good thing Tim did on this day is he planned it for a shorter trip. I don't have a lot of road video because it was just mostly dirt driving in open valleys. But we did end up at some really neat, interesting places. Ringing Rocks is actually going to be our next stop, and I have some video of that. Ringing Rocks are a unique geologic area where if you tap them with a hammer like they are here, they actually chime. Some of them will actually sing. So they say it's developed by patterns in the way the rock formations are. For me, I don't believe. I think it's just unique. It's magical is what does them. So I think the unique taps here make the rocks sing, much like the trees.
That was a good one.
That was cool.
What I've learned from overlanding is being a good leader is know when to hold them, know when to fold them, so to speak. What I found unique about Tim is he knew exactly that team was pretty tired and worn out. He found Demoe Lake, which was right outside of Ringing Rocks, wasn't far at all. It was unique because you come on dusty, dirty roads into this beautiful, serene valley that's on this lake where you're just sitting in the pine trees. The kids could go swimming. We could have fun. We all just kind of relaxed. It was a day that was easier in travel, but needed, and it was a welcome break by all of us. We got there about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We're able to enjoy a nice campfire by the lake and just each other's day's company. Perfect timing, because little we know, the road ahead was going to be pretty tough, and the toughest part of the trail as we head into the kilns, and some unique trail riding and some pretty scary areas. Overall, just an outstanding trip so far. The lake was serene. I got up early in the morning, and there's some pictures of here where the lake is just glass. The quote, a saying from a movie, is you couldn't tell where the mountains ended and the water began. It was absolutely beautiful. As we left the lake, we headed up through the Continental Divide, which offered many majestic views. This one in particular, we came out of the tree line into an area that was like the sound of music. You were basically on this big open knoll with the big mountains in the background. We're about 9,500 feet, 9,800 feet, I believe, is where we hit at the top of the pass. As we explored through this area, we were on the lookout for critters, but we didn't see any, unfortunately. But what we did see was this breathtaking view. The Continental Divide follows the route all the way from South United States all the way up to the Canadian border. In this neck of the woods through Idaho and Montana, it does follow Lewis and Clark expeditions, many areas of that, specifically through Montana and Idaho, Montana being where we are at. We come out of the timber-covered mountains into these open areas. It goes across rocky bluffs. It goes across canyons and lakes. It's about an 800-mile trip. We were only going to do a couple miles of it. It ended up coming down to a hill face where we dropped down a ledge road into the kilns, which you'll see here shortly. You know, this area to me was just breathtaking as we traveled through it. There was some old mining camps, some old little places to camp. I was tempted to ask Tim if we could just stop and camp here for the night, but we had some areas that we wanted to reach, and the wait was well worth it because we did find an outstanding camping spot for the day. But this spot was just stunning, as you could see from the drone view here from Taylor's drone. That is just epic. The ground and the country was beautiful. As we wandered out of the picturesque setting, we knew up ahead that at some point or another we were going to have to drop into a valley. Looking at the map ahead on my Garmin, I noticed that there was some steep incline. We eventually found this shelf road, about 1,000-foot drop to the left-hand side, steep down. Raylene was climbing in my lap at one point or another. I had to say, okay, gotta do this. I gotta admit, I was puckering a bit coming down this hill. No easy task traversing down this road. It was pretty steep, probably about a 14% grade, loose shale, good drop off to the left. Fairly flat road. Now that I think about it, the road wasn't too bad. I think, you have nothing to fear but fear itself. This is one of those situations where I was probably making more out of it than it was. The Jeep did fine towing the trailer. It just put it a 4 low, let the trailer do the work. Beautiful, majestic views. It was about as wide as the Jeep is, so I had to pay attention. I couldn't really look over. Good thing Tim videoed it because I was driving. Raylene was in no area to actually look over the cliff. But the reward at the end of this road was well worth it. We ended up dropping into the Canyon Creek Charcoal Kilns, which was just a interesting town, interesting spot, and then the ghost town that accompanies it is very interesting as well. I'll go into more Canyon Creek Kilns here in a moment. We'll have some pictures of it. They have a smelter. They had the kiln still there. It was actually probably the most unique part of the whole trip. Seeing a kiln that was built in, the 1880s, 1884, I believe, and it ran to 1900. They actually, took the wood, burned it down to charcoal so they could move it over and smelt and separate the metal from the impurities. And you think about it, 40,000 tons of ore they had to smelt using wood from this area. As we came down here, take a look at two things through this area. I'm going to let the video go. It is the beauty of these mountains. The creek down there we ended up camping along was absolutely stunning. Interesting part of the trip, a lot of fun. This was probably the most puckering part of the whole trip for me, because I'm just not a fan of shelf roads, but it was doable, and being comfortable with the uncomfortable is definitely this channel's motto. And live life and learn is what my channel's all about, and I feel on this trip we did that. The reward at the end of the hill was falling in the Canyon Creek, in the Canyon Creek charcoal kilns. The kilns are very interesting, a lot of history, part of the love of Montana. Through my journey, what found this place unique is there's actually 23 of these brick domes. The brick was made from the land. They had cut the wood here to make charcoal, and then they would take that wood down to Glendale so they could take the silver and lead from the mine in Helka and basically separate the ore. Live, learn, and explore has been one of the themes of my pages, as well as being comfortable with the uncomfortable. The reason for this is anytime I've met with a challenge, the rewards at the end of it have been worthwhile. This campground actually represents one of them. As we camped along the creek, the pines, it was just everything. The mountain, the serenity of the valley. We were very remote, but yet very secluded. And we had a great group, as you see here. The camp spot was epic. So far, this journey has been incredible. The trip itself has been worth every second. It's something that we've enjoyed. I hope you enjoy this journey. I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for our next episode where we'll go visit the towns of Nevada City and Virginia City in Montana and continue our Montana adventure. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed today's video.